Donovan, Kyle Anderson had a putback and cut the lead to 3, and then there was a timeout. And when you went back to the timeout, you were pointing to your head and telling the team, "It's all in here." How much of the end of that game was a mental battle versus a physical?
I think the biggest thing, I think a lot of it was mental. That's what I was kind of saying to the guys was like, look, we're going to make mistakes, but it's how do we respond to that? And we understood that this team is going to come back. We can go up 20, 30 against the team. They're going to come back. They just have that will about them, and hats off to them for that. But it's all about the mental part, locking in, executing, and then also responding to adversity when you make mistakes, when you miss 3 shots in a row, when they make 5 shots in a row. That's what the playoffs are. That's what it's going to come down to. And I felt like from the bubble, like we had mental lapses, 3 straight games, and I think this is a game where we come out, they go on a run and we come out and I think it was like 16-4 or 12-2, whatever it was. Like that's the mental fortitude we need to have on both ends of the floor. Mike coming in, getting a huge rebound, Rudy going up vertical, getting the block. Like that's huge, because we could have easily put John on the free throw line, giving up a second chance points. Like that's all it was. And we did a really good job of that when it mattered but now we got to do it every possession, because we can't let them back in the game. They're going to continue to fight, and we got to be able to withstand the runs and not let them go up 1 for us to be like, oh shoot, like we got to go ahead and lock in.
Tony Jones, The Athletic.
What were you seeing personally in the closing minutes for you in those closing possessions? And how big were those possessions for you individually as well as for the team, just overall in the team concept?
I think the biggest thing was just trying to figure out how they were guarding me. They surprised me. They hadn't blitzed the whole series, and then they got me on a turnover. That can't happen. That's a mental error. Like going back to what I said to Sarah, like those are things that can't happen. But understanding that guys are in certain positions, whether it's Valanciunas, Jackson, who's on me, who's going to help off who. Like that was really what I was trying to do: manipulate that spacing, manipulate the game. And that's the biggest thing I've been working on throughout my career, is trying to find ways to put myself and my teammates in positions to score. And fortunately at the end there were my opportunities to get downhill and attack and go from there. But that was really what the last few minutes were.
Eric Walden, Salt Lake Tribune.
Don, along those lines, what were kind of the biggest factors tactically or schematically or whatever in that kind of closing 12-0 run that enabled you guys, stop their momentum and get back in control?
Well, first off, taking solid shots. I think I had a few tough ones. Finding guys, I found Boyan and got to a post up, and that's early in the 4th. But finding Mike, understanding that Mike's in the field, not going to help off Mike. I can attack. Understand they're going to blitz. Finding Rudy, who's going to make a play. That's really what it was. And like I said, being in the league 4 years, you see every coverage. There's no new coverage that's invented. So understanding how to go about it, and figure it out, and whether it's to score or to pass, just being understanding, being patient. Understanding that it's a long game. Like they're going to be runs, but how do you control it? And I think that was the biggest thing that we did. Mike did. Mike was terrific, man, on all both ends of the floor. He was Mike Conley, and he always has been for us all year. And he's taking it to an even another level. And I feel like when you have a guy like that who can handle the ball, who can control the game as well, it makes my life and my job easier. So when I get certain shots, it's because he sees things and he's communicating that with me, or he's putting me in positions to go ahead and score. And make plays too. So a lot of that too is Mike Conley being here. It's big time.
Sam Farnsworth, KSL TV.
Hey Donovan, it seems like the physicality and intensity of this series, it just ramps up with every game. Tonight there was a few intense moments on the floor with Dylan Brooks out there as well. One moment, I think in the second quarter, it looked like he might have hit you in the mouth or something. What happened there, and what was that? The whole game going up against him like?
We've had this all year, myself, him, everybody. Like that's just who he is. He's a guy that goes out there and is competitive. He's going to go out there and be physical. We saw it, against Steph. He did a really good job. He's playing his butt off this series. But the biggest thing is not getting caught up in it, and kind of just going back there. But I enjoy it. I think it's what makes basketball fun. I think like that's Mike's former teammate Mike, and him going back for I think that's what makes basketball fun. And I think that's what we enjoy, and going out there and just continue to compete. As far as the elbow, you just got hit. I got to get up and get back on defense. Like that's it. Move on to the next play, and it's nothing really else to it.
Andy Larson, Salt Lake Tribune.
I'm curious, Don, usually when you're making big plays like the and one, the made three, we see you kind of fist pumping, we see you celebrating, bouncing off the floor, that kind of thing. Tonight, you were more stoic in your responses. Why was that?
The long game. It's been a while, and just getting back into it, and that's really it. Understanding that trying to save your energy as much as possible, not needing to be as exuberant or as I think that's the right word to use there. But I think just not being as loud and kind of demonstrative of my movements, just keeping it, understanding that it's tired. It's a long game, and being pressured, and it's physical, and just going out there and trying to execute the plays, because like I said, we've made big plays and they came back and made another play. So understanding that it's one possession at a time, and that's really it. Not having as much emotion behind it, because that takes away from the job at hand.
Nick Friedel, ESPN.
Donovan, you mentioned Mike and the way he performed. Obviously, he's played a high level in the league a long time. But how impressive is it from your perspective for a guy to come into where he used to play and where there was so much emotion coming into the game to be able to raise his level and play the way he did tonight?
I think, the biggest thing, man, is he's just locked in. Like, he just has a different look, I think. And that's one of the things that I saw from him in the bubble, and I've seen it at an even higher level now. He understands it. He's played for Memphis for 13 years. Like, at the end, there's still love, and you can see it. And there's also love in competing against them. And I think it is impressive, because it's easy to be distracted. It's easy to kind of sit there and kind of, like I said, have that emotion behind it. And, you got old friends out here, you got family, you got whatever out here. And, I think for him to be as locked in as he is definitely impressive from a mental standpoint of the game. I don't think people understand, like, that's a really, really big thing. I've never experienced it, but, I remember his first game back here, it was mentally, he was all over the place. And, rightfully so. It's an emotional moment for him, but to be back here competing against Ja, who's like, you got the OG and you got the young guy. I think that's pretty dope. It's a dope story, but for him, he's competing, man. He's doing this thing on both ends of the floor, and both of these guys taking the challenge head on. And that's why I love Mike. That's why we love Mike.
Last question, Nicole Garena, Tab Deportes.
Hi, Don. Congrats for the win.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How you feel in your second game after the injury, and how important is for you play this playoff game with the team?
It means the world, to be able to play these games. I think the biggest thing for me is picking my spots. It's been, outside of the last game, it's been 39, 40 days, and understanding that it's not all going to come back at once. There's certain shots that I missed tonight that I feel like I make. There's certain decisions that I didn't make, that I do make, as far as passing or turnovers and being there on defense, sprinting back, like those, that's going to come as far as the rhythm and stuff like that, and getting a feel for the game. And you just got to continue to stay with it. I got the greatest teammates in the world telling me, continue to fight through it and continue to push and be aggressive, and I think that's the biggest thing for me, is understand it's not all going to come. This game is not going to come. Next game, it's a process, but doing as much as I can and trying to be there for my teammates.
All right, that's it. Thank you, Donovan.
Thank you.